The first time Ava saw the ocean after the breakup, it didn't feel magical. It felt loud. The waves crashed against the shore like they had something to prove, like they were trying to erase something written in the sand. Ava stood there with her shoes in her hand, her jeans rolled up unevenly, staring at the horizon as if it owed her an explanation. Ethan used to love the ocean. That thought came uninvited, like all the others had been for weeks. She used to think everything reminded her of him, but the truth was, everything didn't. Only the things that mattered did. The places where she had been most herself. And that's what hurt. Back in Portland, their life had been small but full. Coffee shops with chipped mugs. Late-night drives with no destination. Shared playlists that felt like private conversations. Ava had built a future in her mind so vivid she could almost step into it. But Ethan had stepped out instead. Not in a dramatic way. No slammed doors, no shouting. Just a quiet unraveling. Texts that took longer to reply. Plans that got postponed. A version of him that felt like a stranger wearing a familiar face. "I think we want different things," he had said one evening, his voice careful, like he was handling something fragile. She wanted to ask, since when? But instead, she nodded. Because somewhere deep down, she already knew. Weeks later, standing on that beach in California, Ava finally admitted something she had been avoiding. It wasn't just that Ethan had left. It was that the version of life she imagined with him didn't exist anymore. And maybe it never really had. A seagull cried overhead, sharp and sudden. Ava blinked, realizing her eyes were wet. She walked closer to the water, letting the cold edge of it kiss her toes. The ocean didn't care about her heartbreak. It kept moving, pulling back, rushing forward. Again and again. There was something honest about that. Something freeing. That night, in her small rented room above a bookstore, Ava found an old notebook. It was filled with lists she had written over the past year. Plans, dreams, things she wanted to do someday. Most of them had Ethan in them. Road trip across the coast. Learn to cook Italian food together. Adopt a dog. She traced her finger over the words, then paused. For the first time, she didn't feel like crying. She felt curious. What if those things didn't belong to Ethan? What if they were still hers? The next morning, Ava did something small. She went to a cafe alone. It shouldn't have felt like a big deal, but it did. She ordered coffee, sat by the window, and watched strangers pass by. No shared glances, no inside jokes, just her. And it wasn't lonely. It was quiet in a different way. Days turned into weeks. Ava stayed longer than she planned. She started working part-time at the bookstore downstairs. She learned the names of regular customers. She found a hiking trail that led to a cliff overlooking the ocean. And slowly, without realizing it, she began to feel like herself again. Not the version of her that existed in someone else's story. Her own. One evening, as the sun melted into the horizon, Ava sat on the cliff with her notebook. She flipped to a new page and wrote, "Letting go means to come to the realization that some people are a part of your history, but not a part of your destiny." She read it twice. It didn't feel bitter. It felt true. Ethan had been real. What they had shared had been real. But it wasn't meant to last forever. And that didn't make it a failure. It made it a chapter. Ava closed the notebook and looked out at the ocean. For the first time, it didn't feel loud. It felt endless. And instead of wondering what she had lost, she found herself thinking about what might still be ahead. Not with Ethan, but because of everything she had learned from him, and everything she had discovered without him. She stood up, brushing the dust from her jeans. There was a whole life waiting. And this time, she was walking into it alone, but not empty, just unburdened.